Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour, May 1st. Happy May, everyone out there. My name is Nathan Harvey. I'm glad you could be joining us today. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing on the first day of May? Here we are. We're here.
Hey.
Another month.
I know. I hope the weather's better this month than it was in April.
Well, it should be. We're going into the springtime. It should be
rained,
better.
unbelievably rained this weekend. Terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. The Knicks game was not pleasant weather leaving, especially after that horrendous loss, and that's actually going to be our first topic. So let's jump right into that topic. We are talking about the Knicks because the Heat did steal Game 1, 108-101. Jimmy Butler, he had a problem with his leg late in the game, about 5 minutes remaining. It looks like Josh Hart sort of forced him to roll his ankle. It's weird. Normally that's a self-inflicting wound where you roll your own ankle, but Josh Hart kind of rolled Jimmy Butler's ankle, and the report today was his ankle is the size of a baseball, so he'll be questionable for Game 2. But the Knicks took a crushing defeat. They were up, I believe, at 5 at halftime, and then fell apart in the second half to lose by 7. So I don't know, what was your takeaway from this Game 1 loss by the New York Knicks?
Very disappointing. My God. We were at the game. And when the guy in front of us wasn't standing up most of the time watching the game, it was fun to watch. So I think the Knicks were up by 14 in the first half. It looked like they were on their way.
They were at 5 in the first half.
But at the end of the first half. But during the first half, they were up by as many as 14.
Yes.
Right? And it looked like they were going to walk away with the game there for a while, and then the Heat came back near the end of the first half and cut it to 5. And then in the third quarter, it was all Heat. I mean, they were ready to play. They had their rotations down. They had a good chemistry out there on the floor. Jimmy Butler playing like the pro that he is. And the Knicks looking maybe a little nervous and not being able to hit any three-point shots. I think that was the difference in the game, right? The Knicks hit like 20% of their three-pointers. It was ridiculously bad. And the Heat, Kyle Lowry coming up big. I mean, he's the player that hasn't played that well this year, but he was good yesterday. And Vincent, they really got good contributions from other players besides Jimmy Butler. And I thought they were undermanned, right? When they lost, Oladipo hasn't been playing, and Tyler Hero broke his hand and can't play. So I figured, the Heat are undermanned. They're going to. The starters are going to get tired, and the Knicks are going to be able to win this series. I'm not so sure now. I mean, they didn't have Julius Randle yesterday. That would have helped them. He probably would have contributed maybe 20 points to the effort, and that would have been very different from the way it turned out. But Obi Toppin had a pretty good game. I don't know why he wasn't in there more in the second half. He was the only one that seemed to be able to hit a three every once in a while. So I don't know. It's I'd say the next game for the Knicks, I say, is a must-win. I think they got to win one at home. They can't go down to Miami down 2-0.
Right.
That'll be very tough for them to come back after if they can't win the next one.
Right.
So I think it's important for them to get Randall back in there. And you said that
Butler?
No, the other guy, the Knicks.
Jalen Brunson?
Jalen Brunson has an issue, right, with his ankle, too.
Sore ankle, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. If he can't play, I don't know. And Randall can't play, then they're really in a pickle. If they can get all of them out there and Butler can't play, then they got a pretty good chance to win the second game, I think.
I would agree. This is the tale of two halves. The Knicks played two entirely different halves. The first half is all about dominating in the paint. They had 40 points in the paint compared to the Knicks' 20. So they were all about dominating down low. They didn't take many threes. They took 16. They took more in the second half. I think they took 2 more. But they actually made these threes. They're somewhat. They shot 18%. They made 3 threes. In the totality of the game, they made 7. So they didn't shoot very well from 3. In the second half,
from 3.
In the second half, they were settling for threes. They weren't driving as much. They just decided to take a bunch of threes. I'm going to try to bring up the third quarter here. In the third quarter, they shot 13 threes. In the entire game, they shot 34. So they shot about, 33% of their threes in the third quarter alone. They made 2 of them. 15% compared to the Heat's 50% from 3. They shot 5 of 10 the third quarter.
They would have been better off to give up on the 3 and let Brunson try to drive in there and get that short shot, which he was hitting regularly.
Right.
And he did very well with that. That was their offense for a while there. Just him, out there dribbling around, then eventually penetrating down about 15 feet, and tossing up a shot, and it went in most of the time. That was the best. That was the best thing they had going.
And this is not the case where the Heat just outplayed them. They were missing open shots. Jalen Brunson went 0 of 7 from 3. I actually have each one of these missed threes here. I mean, these are not really contested threes. The first one, he's got space there. That's just a complete brick. And then you had RJ right there to sort of help him out at the very end. But these are open shots. These are not like highly contested shots. This one was wide open. Great pass by RJ. And then Jalen Brunson just completely bricks it. This one was also bad. Step to the side, tries to hit it, and completely missed it. I mean, it got bad. Josh Hart went 0 for 4 as well. But these great pass by Obi Toppin to RJ, he misses. Mitchell Robinson gets the rebound. Jalen Brunson open. Jimmy Butler doesn't even jump to try to contest it because they haven't been hitting these all game. Like, these have just been absolutely abysmal. Like, the shooting, look at this. An air ball late in the game from 3.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And then Jalen Brunson tries it, and he misses. Yeah. And then Josh Hart gets a nice little putback.
Yeah.
The Knicks could not hit a 3. And the third quarter started out terribly. Throughout most of the game, actually, it was bad. The Heat were able to get easy buckets off missed shots. I also have that as well. Let's bring that up. I mean, the Heat got these long passes for easy layups. I mean, this is just bad transition defense whatsoever. They're not paying attention. Jalen Brunson take the shot, doesn't even know that Jimmy Butler's running behind him. And then look, it's easy shot there. And
they had like 3 of those right in a row, right?
Yeah. And then this is the last one. This is the third one. I mean, no, Mitchell Robinson couldn't get a rebound. Kevin Love finds it for like the second time. Obi Toppin can't really do much, and Jimmy Butler slams it home. I mean, the Knicks had bad transition defense. They had most of the time, had bad transition offense. In the I believe it was the third quarter or the fourth. I'll bring it up right now. In the third quarter, third quarter was horrible for the Knicks. They lost the third quarter pretty heavily. But Jalen Brunson tried to be the hero. He would try to drive through 2-3 guys. Same with RJ. He would try to drive through 2 or 3 guys. And it was
RJ was forcing shots.
It was bad.
He was forcing shots. Yeah.
This didn't make any sense. And also, I want to talk about this. In the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, you're down by, I think, 8. Jimmy Butler gets his ankle rolled, and he's hobbling. He can't move. He was literally placed on the corners of the wings as simply a decoy, just to stand there. He didn't really do anything. He was chuckling at the end of the game. But what did the Knicks not do? And I told you this, sitting in the stands. You got to attack Jimmy Butler. R.J. Barrett was being covered by Jimmy Butler. Pass it to him, have him drive on a guy who can't even walk very well. Jimmy Butler was hobbling and limping when he's going up and down the court. So if you blow by him, that should be an easy layup, or you draw contact for a foul. Jimmy Butler's not going to be guarding a guy like he's Dylan Brooks or Pat Beverly. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's just bad. And also, another thing, horrible decisions on Tom Thibodeau's part for the timeouts. They were up by 10 points a couple times, and you're calling 2-3 timeouts when you're up by 10. That's the job for the Heat to do. That's for them to slow down your own momentum. But instead, you do it, and with 6:30 left, you got 1 timeout left. And again, is this. Obi Toppin played 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. He's your third leading scorer. And you play him 2 minutes. Now, he did play all of the third quarter, just like he played all of the first quarter. But then he played 4 minutes in the second. You're down by how much? You're down by how much going into the fourth quarter? Let's see. You're down by 6 going into the fourth quarter. So it's a close game. You play Obi Toppin for 2 minutes. He scores 3 points, and then you bench him. He was the only guy really making threes. I believe he went. What was the number here? He went 4 of 11 from threes. Everyone else had 1 3. It was Emmanuel quickly shot a 3. Quentin Grimes shot an early 3, and then R.J. Barrett had 1
Where was Grimes too when they needed 3 points? They needed to catch up. Why wouldn't they have him in there? He's their 3-point shooter.
I don't understand what the Knicks plan was.
40%. He hits a 40% regularly on the threes. They should have had him in there.
So
he hardly played.
The Knicks just had a bad game plan for the Heat. They didn't know what to do. They had bad transition defense. Jimmy Butler was not the all-star here. It was Kyle Lowry once again stepping up off the bench to contribute, because once Jimmy Butler was hobbled, he was the one making plays. Gabe Vincent hit an incredible fall-down 3 late in the fourth quarter that was like, oh my God, this game's probably over. Bam was a decent factor. He scored 16 points on over 50% shooting. Kevin Love knocked down a couple threes. Gabe Vincent shot 5 threes. Like, they were doing really well.
I think Vincent and Lowry made a big difference in the game.
Right.
Especially Lowry. You didn't expect that. Compared to Quickly and Hart, they had poor games, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you expect more from them.
Quickly, this
Especially
entire playoff.
Quickly, right?
Quickly so far
playing
in this
point
playoffs
guard.
hasn't been very good all
Only
playoff
9
long.
points. Only 9 points, right? And then he didn't have anything else going for him either. He had 1 assist, and he didn't have any rebounds. So I think really he played very poorly. And Hart had 10 points, but, he didn't play the way he's been playing in prior playoffs. He had 4 assists. He had 8 rebounds. So not a terrible game, but not what they needed. Not what they needed.
I
They
would
needed
definitely
him
say
to
so.
step up more.
Absolutely. And just like the bench players sometimes have their moments. Josh Hart starting, I think, is a good idea. Generally on defense, he's pretty good. A lot of times in this game, though, he would get blown by Jimmy Butler. And the thing is the Knicks were slow on rotations. Like the Heat would just keep making these passes and pump fakes. The Knicks were just getting pump faked to like everywhere. They could not decide whether or not the Heat were actually going to shoot the ball or not. And that would open to that would lead to wide open shots, or they would just keep passing it until a guy was wide open. Then he would take the shot and he would make it. So the Knicks just played bad defense, and in these playoffs they've been playing great defense, and I think that's what they were hoping for. Josh Hart shutting down Jimmy Butler, and for the most part, till he start the game, Jimmy Butler wasn't the factor. In the first quarter, it was Gabe Vincent and Kevin Love who were the leading scorers. In the second quarter, Jimmy Butler didn't really get going. It was in the third quarter when you had those long passes that were for easy 2-pointers. The Heat started to get rolling, and they led as much as, I believe, 11 in the third quarter. And also, let's look at this number. The Knicks had 13 turnovers. It equated to 22 of the Heat's points.
Yeah.
So
and the Heat only had 8.
The Heat had 9 turnovers, and the Knicks could only score 8 points off that.
8 turnovers by the Heat.
Okay, yeah, no, you're right. And it only equated to 8 points. So, I mean, the Heat were actually capitalizing on the turnovers that they got. The Knicks couldn't buy a bucket. Because I guarantee
and the Knicks
you,
out-rebounded them by 9, too.
I guarantee you, I didn't look, I didn't break this down to see how many rebounds, like the turnovers, what shots they were. But if I'm willing to bet, most of those 8 turnovers were 3-point attempts. That's why the points are so low. Most of those turnovers, they would try to shoot a 3, and then it would probably be a miss. That's what my guess would be. I don't think those are all 2-pointers. Because in the paint, they dominated. 62 points to 38 points.
Yeah.
And in the first half, they only missed 4 inside shots. And in the second half, let's just start shooting threes. Why not? You're down by 6 starting the fourth quarter, and you don't play the style of basketball that has been your benefit. Now, Mitchell Robinson got banged up on his ankle. Hartenstein went down on his back. It looked like he was injured for a quick minute. Jalen Brunson now has a sore right ankle. So I don't know what's going on with the Knicks. I think they'll step it up in game 2, which is tomorrow. I don't think this is going to be a Heat sweep or a Heat in 5. I think the Knicks are going to get on a roll here. They stole one from Cleveland in the prior series. Now the Heat stole one at MSG. The Knicks have home court advantage. I think that's to their benefit.
The Knicks lost by 7. They missed 8 free throws. They only shot 60% from the free throw line.
It was
the Heat
bad.
showed 80%, and they had 23 points off of fouls, where the Knicks only had 12. So the game was won on the free throw line by the Heat. 23 of 29, 80%. The Knicks only shot 20 free throws, 60%. They only made 12 of them.
You can, because since Julius Randle's out, you can't have your next 2 best guys, which is Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett. You can't have them having 66% of your turnovers. They had 9 turnovers. They had 9 turnovers to the entire Knicks 13.
I think that RJ Barrett was forcing it.
He was
forcing it, you know.
The Knicks at the end were not playing like a team.
When he was driving, he should have dished it a few more times, you know. Instead, he tried to go to the hoop. I mean, he's had good success against Miami. I guess he figured those shots were going to drop.
He started off incredibly.
Yeah, he started off very well.
But then, the Knicks at the very end, they were down by 6, and I guess they came out. Each player came out with the mentality of, I'm going to win this game, not we are going to win this game. They played individual basketball, and that's what really cost them because they were bad on defense, no real communication. The offense was poor and slow. The defense was even slower. It was all around just a bad basketball game for the Knicks. But I do think they'll rebound because Julius Randle's now questionable instead of doubtful and out. So we're going to see just how well the Knicks do in Game 2 tomorrow. I do expect them to play better. I think they'll shoot better than 20% from three.
They've got to do that.
But I think if they don't shoot better, I think you got to go back to what you need to play, and that's big ball. That's bully ball. Get down low, start making shots down there, because that's what your major success point was. Really, your only success point was your points in the paint. Otherwise, it's going to be another one of these games where you completely blow a first-half lead and you lose by 7 to the Heat. I'm going to say, they're not a better basketball team. The Heat are not better. They're older, they're slower, they can't rebound, and yet they're beating you because Jimmy Butler decides, you know what, let me become Michael Jordan in the playoffs. But it wasn't a Jordan-esque performance. It's just you bit yourself up. That's all the Knicks did. They beat themselves up.
The Heat didn't panic. They got down by 14, right? They slowly closed the gap to get down by 5 at halftime. They played a great second half.
Right.
I think they were well coached. And the players are smart. I think they may be old, but they're experienced.
Correct.
And I thought Kyle Lowry, he played a very good game in the second half. He didn't play that much in the first half, but the second half he played extremely well. I thought he was a difference maker in this game.
Once Jimmy Butler, the last 5 minutes, Kyle Lowry needed to step up to maintain that Heat lead, and he did exactly that. So you got to. I mean, the thing with the NBA now is no lead is safe. With that 3-point line and with the way that now players are able to shoot the 3 ball, no lead is safe. And the Heat proved that in a few games against the Bucks. Down by 20 points, down by 18 points, you come back and win. I mean, it's just no lead is safe. You got to go up and you just got to you could not really step your foot off the gas. You could let it up a little bit if you're up by 15, 20 points, but you can never just fully let off the gas and just say, 20-point lead, we're safe for the rest of the game. You can't do that.
I was surprised the Heat won, but after I watched them play in the second half, I think the Knicks have got something to worry about, man. Unless Jimmy Butler is really hurt pretty bad, if he can't play, then I just think the injuries are too much for the Heat now. They've no Hero, no Oladipo, no Jimmy Butler. Come on, that's going to be too much for them.
I think Jimmy Butler will sit out Game 2, knowing he'll have 2 games at home, and then that's where I think the Heat could take a 3-1 lead.
Well, they did what they have to do for this series so far. They stole 1 game.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
They took the home court advantage away from the Knicks for the moment.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what the plan is for Game 2, but we will see. Let's go on to our next topic here. Well, now your pick was Kings in 7. It turned out that Steph Curry would go off for a 50-piece, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Wow.
The Warriors ended up winning in a dominating fashion, 120-100. The Warriors now move on to the second round to stay in an LA battle, in a California battle. It was Sacramento versus Golden State. Now it's Los Angeles versus Golden State as they play LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. This is the 5th playoff series meeting between Steph Curry and LeBron James. The last time they played was the 2018 Finals, where Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green swept LeBron. I'm not even going to say it's the Cavs. It was LeBron. LeBron carried them to that Finals, and it was a absolutely crazy thing that LeBron did in 2018. But Steph Curry has not played LeBron in the in the playoffs since then. So they're going to meet for the first time. However, let's focus on this game. So based on what we each saw from this Warriors game, do you think the Warriors now have shown that they could make a push for the finals? Because what we saw in the regular season was an embarrassing performance, especially on the road.
Yeah.
Based on what you saw, beating the number 1 scoring offense in NBA history and doing it in the last, 4 or 5 games of the series in dominating fashion, do you think that now this is a finals-ready team?
Maybe, but I'm not sure. I mean, I think that this game yesterday, the Kings came up small, man. Particularly their 2 big players, Fox and Monk. They only had 30 points between them, right? Fox had 16 and Monk had 14. Those guys needed to step up big in this game, right? This is a 7th game at home. I don't know what was wrong with them. I was disappointed with their performances. That was the game right there. Those two guys needed to each score at least 20, right? They need to have at least 40 points, and they didn't. They only had 30. Even if they'd had 40, they still would have lost by 10. So I don't know. Sabonis, you wouldn't expect him to be the high scorer on their team. He only had 8 rebounds. Looney had 21 rebounds. 21 rebounds. And the Warriors, who we consider to be a small ball team, right, had 55 rebounds in that game. And that together with Curry's 50 points, lights out. That's the end. They won it. Now, whether they can go all the way to the finals, I don't know. I'd be surprised in a way if they can
really
make it to the finals. I think that I was a little surprised that Phoenix lost their first game.
They got obliterated.
And but they didn't. They lost their first game to the Clippers too. So we'll see. But I was thinking that probably the Suns are going to be the ones in the finals from the West. But we'll see. I don't know. It should be an interesting series, the Lakers against the Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I was surprised that the Kings came up so small when they played so well in the game on Friday night against the Warriors on the Warriors court, where the Warriors rarely lose. Right? You could see Curry at the end of that game. He was like, "What the hell just happened?"
Yeah.
Right? How did we lose this game? But they're a championship team. They came back. They came up big on the road. They had big performances from Looney with 21 rebounds. Wiggins, 17 points. They had pretty balanced scoring there. They had Klay Thompson, 16 points. Looney had 11 points to go with his 21 rebounds. Not bad. And I just think that the Warriors, I was a little surprised they won that game. I thought that the Kings would win. I picked the Kings in 7.
You did.
And I was wrong.
Well, I'm more wrong than you because I picked the Kings in 5.
Yeah.
However, there were 2 moments.
They you know what? The Kings could have won. They had an opportunity to win it in 5, right?
Draymond out at Game 3.
Yeah.
Game 5, you get crushed by the Warriors. So,
yeah. But then they had the game where they lost it on the last shot when Barnes took it. Right,
yeah,
he took the 3. They made that shot.
Was that?
They
that
would
might
have
have
won
been
by.
Game 5.
They would have won that game.
Let's see.
They were down by 1.
Yeah.
Right, and they had the ball with 10 seconds, and they couldn't get a score. Why they choose to shoot a 3 there, I'm not sure. They should have driven to the hoop, maybe drawn the foul.
That was Game 4. Yeah,
Game 4. So they would have been up 3-1.
They would have been up 3-1.
Yeah, then they would have had a chance to win it in 5. But
there were 2 moments in that series.
I'm sure they'll look back on
games.
this and say, "Wow, we missed some opportunities." But
yeah.
they've never been to the playoffs before, these guys. So I give them credit to get to 7 games with the champs. And, they'll think about it. I bet they'll be back there next year. I think they'll play well next year, too.
I don't think they'll have an insane regression, but I will say this. In this series, Klay Thompson was not the number 2 most important player on the Warriors. For a large part of this Warriors dynasty, it was Steph Curry and Klay Thompson as the 2 key cogs of the way this offense runs. Draymond Green was definitely a catalyst, but he wasn't the one of the main guys. He wasn't the top 2 main guys.
Kevin Durant was there for a while.
Kevin Durant was there for a while. Yes, he was there for 3 years. Went to 3 straight finals. Lost the last one. Should have won it if he didn't get hurt. But I will say this. In this series, Kevon Looney was definitely the second most important player behind Steph Curry. Steph Curry averaging 33 points in this series is absolutely absurd. Kevon Looney's averaging 15 rebounds in this series. 15. Basically double what he's averaged in the playoffs, more than double in his first 2 years. But last year when they won the finals, he averaged 7.6 rebounds. He's averaging 15.1. Now I understand they went through more than just one series, but to average 15 rebounds in one series is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous for a guy who in his career averages 5.6.
Really? That's what he averages in his career?
In his career, he's averaging 5.6 rebounds, and in this series, he's averaging 15.
I think they probably talked to him and said, you know what, if we're going to advance, we need more muscle on the boards, and he stepped up.
Well, you said that after the last game's loss, where the Kings somehow got the Warriors and took care of them in their own court, which is very rare this season. The Warriors were always great at home. Curry, someone who's not really outspoken in the idea of giving a speech to his team, took his entire team, gave a speech, and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins were all saying, like, Curry got us fired up. Like, that was an insane motivation to this team to go out and finish this series. And he also sort of hinted at the younger players saying, hey, if you're going to complain about minutes, don't even come on the bus. Don't even come to this game. Because there was a rumor after, I think, Game 3 or Game 4, or it might have been after Game 2, how Jordan Poole and Moses Moody were a little bit upset about their roles on the team, and you could even see it. Draymond Green, I believe after either Game 6 or Game 5, tried to come up to Jordan Poole to talk to him, and Jordan Poole kind of just brushed him off. So there may be some breaking here, and I brought this up a couple weeks ago, how next season, don't be surprised if Jordan Poole is no longer a Golden State Warrior. Because
I saw Draymond Green yelling at him, and when he was sitting on the bench, Green went right down and spoke to him and started yelling at him.
Because the younger players want more minutes, and I mean, if you're going to play poorly, Jordan Poole played horrible in this series. I'm not like for instance, if I'm a leader on this team and you've been playing horribly, I'm not going to say, hey, I want you out there in our crucial moments. When we're down, I want you out there. No, you're going to screw me over. If you're playing horribly, why would I want you in a key position of the game? I want players who have the experience, who have the knowledge. I understand Jordan Poole just won a title with the Warriors last year, but he's been playing horribly. I don't want a guy who's been playing horribly out there when we need to win. We need to play at our absolute A-plus performance because this is the number one scoring team in NBA history. But I will say this. I'm not going to make excuses for the Kings, but I will state the obvious. The Kings did not play Kings basketball. When you are the number one team from 2, number 1, you're shooting, I have the number right here. You are shooting within the 3, almost 59% from the floor. And you're shooting this poorly, and from 3, you're the 9th best team at 37%. You're shooting 25% in this game, and the entire series you haven't been shooting good. You have your guys that are shooting 40% from 3, like Kevin Huerter, who's been abysmal in this series.
He was terrible.
He won 1 of 6. The Kings did not play Kings basketball. And the thing was, the Warriors didn't really play all that great against these shooters. A lot of these shots, especially from Kevin Huerter and Domantas Sabonis, who this was probably the best game of the series, most of these shots were wide open. They couldn't hit them. For instance, there were 2 straight games where they started like 0-7. And one of the games they shot at like 0-11 to start the game from 3. You can't do that against a team like the Warriors, who are extremely experienced. They have arguably one of the best coaches in NBA history. You have the greatest shooter, arguably now the greatest point guard of all time. We'll talk about that later in the show. You have Klay Thompson, who any given night could go off. Andrew Wiggins is a very important piece of this team. Kevon Looney's rebounding out of his mind right now. He had more than half his team's offensive rebounds and almost the same amount of offensive rebounds the entire Kings had in this game. You can't do it. You can't go in these shooting slumps, and the Kings just couldn't get it done. Now, it could be because of their lack of experience.
I think that
very well could be. And besides, De'Aaron Fox is the guy. You can't go 3-10 from 3. However, he did fracture the tip of his finger, which kills him on his shooting hand as well. That obviously kills you. But if you're going to be out there, you can't be a liability to your team. Eric Spoelstra asked Jimmy Butler when he got hurt in this game yesterday, are you going to be a liability? And Jimmy Butler said, no, I'm not going to be a liability. I'm not going to say De'Aaron Fox is a liability, but when you're shooting 5-19 and 3 of 10 from 3.
But he had that injury on Friday night, and he played great.
I know, but if you're going to come into this game, it's like, hey, are you good to go?
Yeah.
You good to go? So it's a big question mark. Malik Monk off the bench. Malik Monk had to be your 1A or 1B. He had to be out there.
He was up and down in the series. He had another couple games where he didn't play that great, but then he had somewhere he was out, lights out.
Right.
This game he didn't play well.
Also, you decided for whatever reason to put Terrence Davis on Steph Curry. I don't know how that makes any sense. Davion Mitchell was the guy that could at least get Curry somewhat off balance. Now, Curry was never locked down in this game defensively. Curry could not be stopped. He averaged over 33 points in this series. But Davion Mitchell at least was sort of an instigator to Curry. Instead, you put Terrence Davis on Curry. I don't think that was a great move.
Yeah.
Not at all. And you know what? You got cooked for it. You lost by 20. Curry scored 30 in the first half, closed it out with 20. I mean, it's a Game 7 record. This is a record-breaking performance from Curry, the most amount of points in a Game 7. Curry in this series needed to have a virtuoso, and he had more than that. He was phenomenal in this series. The Warriors in this series showed up. Wiggins did not have his best series, but was efficient when he needed to be. Draymond Green dropped 10 points, which he dropped 20 points, which I think one of these games, I believe he dropped 20 points, and that was his most all year. Not even just in the playoffs, all year. And he dropped a 10-point game early in this series. It was his first 10-point game since early April.
He had 8 assists.
That's what he does. He has a decent amount of rebounds. He has a decent amount of assists. He doesn't score that many points. That's Draymond Green's game. But hey, the Kings.
Do you think the
Kings did not play Kings basketball?
Do you think the Lakers are a better team than the Kings?
No.
You don't.
I don't. Now I understand that
you don't think they have a better center, Davis, as opposed to Sabonis.
I do. I think Davis will be more physical and could actually absorb physicality. Sabonis just got destroyed. Sabonis was just getting out physical by Kevon Looney. At times, he was getting out physical by 6'6" Draymond Green. Anthony Davis ain't going to take that.
He didn't shoot well either. Although he had 22 points.
They gave him wide open shots from the free throw line.
I know, yeah. And
this is the only game where he actually made most of them.
Yeah.
But throughout the series, he just could not make any sort of shot. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I know, obviously, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk don't equate to LeBron. Sabonis doesn't equate to an Anthony Davis. I understand that.
Yeah. So where were the Kings better then?
The Lakers can be less consistent. You're talking about D'Lo, what's his name? D'Angelo Russell, who he has off games. You have guys like was it Larry Brown? I think his name is. He's not very good. Rui Hachimura has games. He started off really well in the series. He could have spotty games. LeBron could even have a spotty game. Anthony Davis, his health, and also sometimes doesn't play very well. You got to bring that in.
Well, he's healthy now.
Vanderbilt, you don't know what you're getting from him. At least some of these guys, you have De'Aaron Fox, who and this was the only terrible, absolutely terrible game. This was a rare occurrence here, but he generally gives you 25, 30 points a game. Malik Monk had a spotty game, but generally he was okay. Davion Mitchell and Keegan Murray late in the series performed. So,
but I would say the Lakers, if you said two best players on the Lakers versus two best players on the Kings, the Lakers would be...
I'm taking LeBron, yeah.
LeBron and Davis.
AD, yeah. No, I would take them over
compared
Sabonis
to Monk and Fox.
You wouldn't think Sabonis is number 2. Because De'Aaron Fox is definitely 1.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is 1.
I would say for the playoffs, Monk was number 2.
For playoffs, right? I agree. Yeah.
Maybe not during the year, but Sabonis didn't have a great series.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But if you're telling me that, would I rather have a healthy LeBron and AD versus a healthy De'Aaron Fox and let's say a Domantas Sabonis, I'm taking LeBron and AD because LeBron this year has been insane. He's averaging 30 points. 30 points at, was he 38 years old, which is it's absolutely insane.
Yeah, he's a freight train when he comes down the lane.
He's on my list of 5 unstoppable things.
Yeah,
LeBron driving down the lane, you can't stop him.
Yeah.
But I just think everyone outside LeBron and AD, you don't know what you're getting night in, night out. No. At least with the Kings, you have people, you have like a Trey Lyles who could rebound and Alex Len who could rebound. Who's good? Like Hachimura may get a couple rebounds, but you don't know.
You think the Warriors can beat the Lakers?
We'll talk about that throughout. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I think it's gonna be an interesting conversation.
I think it is. I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be close. I think that if Curry is he's unbelievable. We're going to talk about him in a little while, but I am just the way he comes up big in those very important games is. The way he played in the finals last year, wow. The guy is a very impressive basketball player. He's not getting any younger either, He's probably got, at this level, he's probably got a couple more years. But he doesn't show any sign of falling off yet, man, the way he played yesterday.
At 35 years old, he's having a phenomenal... The last 2 years, we saw it in the Celtics series. We watched that series very closely. Yeah. Curry took over the second half of that series.
Yeah.
Down 2-1, Curry needed to be phenomenal.
And he was.
He was exactly that. It was insane what he was able to do. But coming up, we talk about the latest on Joel Embiid's injury for tonight's game. The topic bar will say something different because something broke recently about Joel Embiid and what it means for tonight's game and what it'll mean for this series. But also, has Steph Curry officially become the greatest point guard in NBA history? We will discuss that right after this.
Introducing Video Podcasts on Spotify. Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe,
interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
Podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.
You have a lot to say. Maybe you've thought, I should start a podcast. Meet Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast ever. It's a powerful mobile app and web tool that lets you record a podcast anywhere and distribute it everywhere. It's great whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. And it's 100% free. You can record your show straight into Anchor on your phone, iPad, or the web, using any mic you want. Record alone or with friends or co-hosts anywhere in the world. You can add background music and transitions, and your listeners can send you voice messages that you can incorporate right into your next episode. If you want to produce your show using another app, you can upload your own audio directly from web or mobile, and still take advantage of Anchor's totally free podcast hosting. Once your podcast is ready to publish, Anchor can automatically distribute it to every major podcast platform. That includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, so your listeners can hear your show wherever they want. And on the web, you can see detailed analytics about how people are listening. Plus, you'll get a great-looking profile page where anyone can listen to your podcast or subscribe to it. And if you want to ask your audience to support your work, Anchor makes it easy to collect monthly payments from the people who love your podcast and want to see it grow. You really don't need a recording studio, expensive equipment, or a bunch of technical knowledge to deal with a podcast feed. Just get started and join the diverse community of podcasters already on Anchor. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic here because we are talking about tonight's game, Celtics versus the 76ers. It's going on in about 20 minutes, so it should be interesting how our takes actually come out of this game. But Joel Embiid, it says doubtful. It's now official. He is out for game one. So this will be pretty big for the Celtics at home to try to take this. They are 10-point favorites at home. And the Celtics in the first series, I think this is crucial. He went to 6 games with the Atlanta Hawks, who are not a very good basketball team this year. They're basically 50-50 throughout the entire season. But the saving grace is Tatum and Brown for the Celtics are averaging a combined 27 points and basically 8 rebounds in this playoffs. So I just want to know, who wins tonight?
They each score at least 27 points.
Well, the combined they have 27 points. But I don't know, who do you think wins tonight? And what do you think overall the outcome of the series will be now that Joel Embiid may have a problem with his injuries?
What is his injury?
He has a ankle injury.
Well,
and it looks pretty bad.
If he can't play, that's the Celtics' prohibitive favorite.
Right.
They're going to win. I don't see how the 76ers can beat him without him.
Right.
The Celtics just have too many weapons to get beat by them. But I will say the Celtics are a little bit shaky in the series against the Hawks, right? You got to play better defense. Come on. The game that the 5th game, right, at home, they let Trae Young score all those threes, right? I was surprised. They were up by quite a bit. They kept chipping the lead away and chipping. Pretty soon they tied it up, and then the Celtics up by 1 with 4 or 5 seconds to go, maybe 8 seconds to go. Young just dribbles down there, takes a 3 from way beyond the arc, sinks it, with just a hand in his face. I think the Celtics last year they played a lot better defense. And they think they're going to have to step it up on defense if they really want to make it to the finals and win the finals.
Right. Well, I will say this. We do have a take. Skip Bayless thought he has apparently an inside source from the 76ers who actually talked about Joel Embiid and his injury. And this is what Skip Bayless had to say about his inside source.
Called my source back last night, and he said, we got a big problem. Joel continued to complain on Monday and Tuesday. They had it MRI'd, and it's bad. He has a small tear. Probably will require some kind of procedure after the
He better go on and get that done, Skip.
Okay, well, I'm with you. My source told me last night If he does try to go, we expect him to be about 20 to 30% of what he was, which was the MVP of the league.
Does not sound too good for Joel Embiid.
Not at all. And in a way, it's a shame, you know? You like to see competitive series.
Right.
How can it be that competitive without him in there? I mean, then you're left with Harden is really your only big weapon.
Yeah.
Right? Who said, do they have another big guy? I don't think.
You got Tyrese Maxey, who's been pretty good, but Tobias Harris is really the savior. In the sweep, when Joel Embiid went out for Game 4, it was Tobias Harris stepping up, but I don't think Tobias Harris is really going to be that key cog to go up against the Celtics.
Embiid is huge.
Right,
I mean, he's big.
No, I agree.
He is muscle under the boards, and going down. And he's a good outside shooter, too. He can do it inside or outside. So losing him is huge. I don't if he can't play the series at all, then and if he does play, if he's really as impaired as Bayless is saying, then I just don't see the 76ers being able to make it that competitive.
It's going to be interesting because originally it was Joel Embiid. It's not that bad of an injury, but then the MRI came out and Doc Rivers said, yeah, it's not looking too good. And then Skip Bayless said that it's torn and it could be very, very bad. Now the Celtics need to take these 2 games at home. That's going to be the big thing here because if Joel Embiid is back for Game 2 or if he has to be back for Game 3 or Game 4, the Celtics need to be on their A game. Mm-hmm. And it could be that the Celtics thought the Hawks were just a pushover, and so they didn't really need to play hard basketball, and it showed. The Hawks almost, even in Game 6, the Hawks kept it close, and I was nervous that this would go to a Game 7. And if it went to a Game 7, I wouldn't be surprised if the Hawks were able to win in the Game 7. Now, tonight, up by 10, I think the Celtics should win. If they're favored by 10, I think the Celtics should win, especially with Embiid out.
Yeah, well, did Embiid hurt this? Did he have this injury at the end of the prior series, or was he hurt then too?
No, he was hurt at the end of the prior series. Yeah,
right at the end.
He got hurt. He got hurt in Game 3.
Oh,
Game 4 he didn't play.
Game 4 he didn't play.
No,
but they swept.
Yeah, they were able to sweep because Tobias Harris.
So he hasn't played on the injury yet.
He has not. Now, I think he's considering a cortisol shot to try to ease the pain a little bit of a torn ligament or torn whatever it is, something in his ankle. But he's not going to be ready for Game 1. That's what got reported about 20 minutes before our show. So we'll see exactly how the 76ers sort of compete with the Celtics because hey, they took care of business against the Nets in Game 4. But then again, I think the Celtics are a deeper, better team than the Nets this year.
That's for sure.
Hey, McCall Bridges went off. That's all I got to know.
Yeah, I would say I give the Nets a lot of credit for making the playoffs after all the turmoil they had all season.
Right.
I give that Jack Vaughn I give him a lot of credit. He really is quite a good coach.
Yeah.
I think that they get their team together for next year. It could be someone to reckon with, and they have a chance to really put it together in the preseason and have a real strategy without having so much turmoil and turnover in players. I mean, to lose 2 superstars and still make the playoffs. I mean, they lost those guys with quite a few games to go, and they still made it. And they weren't the last seed either, right? What number seed were they?
It was 6 seed.
Six seed. So they didn't have to be in the play-in tournament.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the most impressive thing. They didn't slide as much as at least I was expecting them to slide. That was a crazy thing for me.
The Heat's performance surprises me so much. I watched that first play-in game. These guys are done.
Yeah.
They were horrible against Atlanta. I don't know.
Maybe they
didn't want to win that game. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want to. They figured they'd be better. The seeding would be better for them if they were 8. I don't know.
Right.
But why would they want to be 8 and face Milwaukee?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about the Celtics because while Jason Tatum isn't having as many bad shooting performances as he was last year, he still has them. That's why I can't call it. I can't set in stone that he's a superstar.
Yeah.
Because when you go and have games like you do when you're putting up 35 points and 12 rebounds and looking phenomenal, then you go up a game or two later and shoot 1 of 10 from 3. I mean, I can't say, oh, yeah, you are consistently great. No, Jason Tatum is a great player, but he's not a superstar. Jaylen Brown, I think, is actually more consistent. And honestly, truthfully, I think it was a bigger piece in the Celtics' success last year, although there was obviously one game 6 against the Bucks, where Jason Tatum matched Giannis point for point, essentially, and that's the reason why they won. I think overall, Jaylen Brown was the more consistent basketball player in last year's series. That's what I just think, and the numbers may not back me up. At least that's what the eye test told me. Jaylen Brown was out there, maybe he didn't shoot 35 points, but he was putting up 25, 26 with 6, 7 rebounds, and he made it look effortlessly. Now, we're taking a look at this series. Is Jason Tatum going to be consistent? That's my big question mark. Because if Jason Tatum comes out here and shoots poorly, I'm going to be nervous for the Celtics, because Jaylen Brown, he's still got that face mask on, and I think TNT put up the numbers in game 4 or 5. The face mask on versus off is a very, very noticeable difference in points and rebounds and assists. He plays far worse with the mask on than he does with the mask off.
Why does he still need it on? He's been wearing it for a long time. I would have thought whatever injury he had would have healed up by now.
You would think.
Did he break his nose?
I think it was some sort of obviously it's a facial injury. It may have been a nose, but I don't have the exact injury in front of me. But we'll see how they open up today. They should win at home without Joel Embiid. First of all, the Celtics did something weird. They rested Robert Williams basically the entire year. He didn't play very much. He started off the season injured. He came back. He was a pretty good player. They just didn't play him that much. Al Horford, in his advanced years, he's not shooting the ball great, but he could have his moments. He had his moments last season in the finals. He started off game 1 where the Warriors, I think, just fell apart in that fourth quarter, and Al Horford went off. So Al Horford can have these moments in the playoffs, but thus far we're not seeing really a great Al Horford performance. Derek White has been efficient. Malcolm Brogdon, we said at the beginning of the year when the Celtics got him, great acquisition. They finally got that distributor that they need. Now he's the 6th man of the year. He's great pickup for the Celtics. He's been very, very effective.
Are deep. The Celtics are deep.
They are. Now, while the Bucks were the number 1 seed, I've been saying this for months at this point, the Celtics overall, if you go down the depth chart, are the more deep team and overall the better team. Now, their record obviously didn't say that because they were the number 2 seed, but I just think if you look down the roster, that if you look at any other roster, it's not as deep, it's not as good as the Celtics roster. And you know what? The only reason I'm nervous, and it could just be stupid nerves because the Celtics didn't care about the Hawks, is you went to 6 games with the Hawks. The Hawks were literally a 500 team basically the entire season, and you went to 6 games with them.
Yeah.
So
I don't think the Hawks have much besides Trae Young.
DeJounte Murray didn't really do as much as I think I was hoping, because on the Spurs he was a really, really good player. Then the Hawks picked him up. I thought it was a great pickup for the Hawks. He didn't really produce as much, and in the playoffs he wasn't as big of a factor. And it was just shocking how tough the Hawks out was. The Celtics just could not get it done, and I was very, very surprised that the Celtics had a lot of trouble putting them away. And tonight you're going up against the Sixers, who Tyrese Maxey's a great player. Tobias Harris, I love Tobias Harris. I just don't think he's going to put 26 points a game without Joel Embiid there. But that's just me. James Harden, what kind of a night are you getting from James Harden? Are you getting a 4 of 11 shooting night? Or are you getting James Harden in game 1 versus the Nets, where he can make any 3 from anywhere at any time with whoever's guarding him, with however many people are guarding him? James Harden in that first game went absolutely off from 3.
He had a great series.
Which James Harden are you going to get?
It's going to be, I think they can focus on him now without Embiid in there.
Right.
They can double team him if they want.
I think that's going to be the key. And James Harden knows how to draw fouls. He's very, very good at doing his little step back and draw a foul at the 3-point line. So it's going to be interesting. I will take the Celtics here, but I'm nervous about taking the points, so I'll go 76ers plus 10 with the Celtics money line. That's my official bet. You think the Celtics are going to win by more than 10 points in this game?
Without Embiid in there, I'd say they should.
They should, but I just feel like
they don't play good defense. I guess maybe that would be the thing that might cause them to have it closer and the point spread be beat.
But off the top of your head, you're going Celtics minus 10?
Right now, I think so, yeah.
That's going to be an interesting pick. But I want to finish up with this topic here. So we hinted at it earlier in the show here. Curry dropped 50 points, which is a record performance in a Game 7. The most points scored in a Game 7. An absolutely amazing performance. In the entire series, Curry has averaged over 33 points and has been the reason why that the Warriors had these amazing blowouts against the number 1 scoring offense in NBA history with the Sacramento Kings. So We each watched this series very, very closely. I want to know, do you now consider Curry the greatest point guard in NBA history?
That's a tough question. I mean, who else will we compare him to?
I guess Magic Johnson is
Magic Johnson and John Stockton.
I wouldn't put him up there. He wasn't the scorer Magic and Curry are.
How about Oscar Robertson? That's before you were.
I would say so.
Yeah. He was a great player. He was a great player in a different era.
I would agree.
Different era, no 3-point line. He was a great player. So, I don't know. I think that you got to give him consideration for that. I really, I think that he's an all-world player. That's for sure. And he's proved it the last 2 years for sure. And how many championships is he going to have if they win it this year? 5?
He'd match Magic.
Yeah. So I'd say if he got to 5 championships, yeah, you give it to him. If he doesn't, then I think it's a toss-up between him and Magic. That's how I would view it. But I was just thinking about the playoffs this year.
Right.
He's head and shoulders over any other point guard that's left in the competition now. Right? There's nobody that even comes close to him. Chris Paul's the only one that you might consider. I mean, the Celtics don't really even have a point guard, right? They don't have somebody that we really consider the point guard.
They do not have a traditional point guard.
Yeah, I mean,
because I think the traditional point guard is on the bench. Yeah,
Brogdon is on the bench, so you might think of him as a prototypical point guard, but they don't play him that way. Who do the Sixers have? Who's their point guard? Do they really? We can't even know who it is.
Technically, if you're talking about the assists, I would guess you would say technically James Harden, but he's a shooting guard.
He's not a point guard.
He's a shooting guard.
He's
a shooting guard.
And then the Heat, I guess it's Vincent, right? He's their point guard.
You can say Kyle Lowry, but then again, he's been off the bench.
Yeah, they comes off the bench. I'd say Vincent is probably, but he doesn't. He's more of a shooting guard too.
Shooting guard, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Knicks.
The next would be Jalen Brunson.
I'd say he and Paul are kind of maybe Brunson's a little better than Paul now. They're given
Paul. What do you mean?
Chris Paul.
Oh, okay, yeah. The point guard, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Curry's head and shoulders over any. Who is the Denver's point guard?
That would be Jamal Murray, who had a phenomenal game in his first game. So.
Yeah. And then Curry is Paul is the point guard for the Suns. So
yeah,
I mean Curry is head and shoulders over anybody that's left in this tournament. So yeah, I think he deserves consideration at this point. He's definitely one. I think he's in the top 2, right, with Magic Johnson, the 2 of them.
I would say yeah, you have to give him at least he's definitely top 3 because I don't think Stockton. While Stockton was an incredible passer, he wasn't the scorer and assist.
Yeah.
Well, obviously that's what I mean by passer. He was nowhere near the scorer that Curry is now. And I think that's what honestly you have to look at now. The game that Magic plays, Magic should not be considered a point guard. He's 6'9". Like what he did now his entire career until the very end when he retired for like 4 years due to HIV. He came back as a power forward for the Lakers. By the way, that last year he didn't play very well. I think, truthfully, in the way that this day and age is, and the way the game now has completely changed from when Magic was doing his thing, and Magic's team, you could look down the depth chart. Now, while Curry had Kevin Durant, if we're talking about individual performance here, Magic, while he had the rebounds, while he had the assists, he wasn't a scorer. He didn't change the game the way that Curry did. Curry, while the 3 was invented when? In the, late 70s?
Magic
mid-80s?
played his whole career with the 3-point line.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah. The 3, after, the 2013 season, 2014, when Curry shot, I want to say he made like 500 threes or something like that. Something absolutely absurd. It wasn't until then where people were like, okay, we have to use this aspect of the game way more than anything else. Because with Curry shooting 500 threes, and he's absolutely obliterating you from the 3, and you're down by 15 points, and you're just trying to chink away, and Curry's shooting up 28-foot, 30-foot bombs and nailing them, you have to implement the game. And what Curry did was he basically said, if you don't have a consistent 3-point shooter, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to beat us. And that's exactly what happened. The three ball, now you got people in 5th grade who are shooting threes. It doesn't count in 5th grade. You still have them shooting threes. 4th grade, now kids are practicing shooting the three ball and not doing simple fundamentals. It used to be dribble right, dribble left, layup line, short shots. Now you got kids shooting threes as part of their main practice. The way Curry's changed the game and the way he's able to do it.
I think you're right. I think he has changed the game.
And the way, and not only that, it's not only his shooting ability. He has very underrated handles. When we think of great handles, we think of AI. Kyrie Irving's got amazing handles. Curry has, in this game, in the 4th quarter, Curry was doing like dribbling drills. He was just dribbling around the Kings. The Kings couldn't take the ball away from him. He was just dribbling through them, in and out, he couldn't be stopped.
And he drives well. He because his 3-point shooting sets up his ability to drive. Most of the teams think he's going to shoot the 3. He pulls it down and drives the lane and lays it in.
Right.
He had some great drives in the games in this past series.
And that's the big thing. That's the big transition that I think could be pretty big for Steph's career is now early in his career he had to deal with ankle injuries, and that was the big thing. Curry had to rely on the 3 because if he couldn't drive, his ankle, he didn't know how to exactly figure out how to maneuver around his bad ankle. Now that's been the big pet peeve of basically now I don't think so, but maybe a little bit, but especially early in Curry's career was this could be career threatening if Curry keeps having these ankle injuries. No team would want him. Because if you're going to get him for an insane price just because he could shoot a 3, he can't move up and down the field. If he tries to drive, you don't know about his ankle. That's the big question mark. He put on a lot of muscle the past 3 years. It's been incredible to see how Curry has really adapted his body, and he has been driving more. He has been absorbing more contact, and he's expanded his game. Even in his mid and early 30s, have been able to do that, which is absolutely incredible. And the way Curry took over this playoff series, maybe you're not going to say right now he's the best point guard because Magic does have 5, and that's the big knock on LeBron versus Michael is the 6-0 versus 4-6. Is if you say Magic has 5 rings, Curry's got 4, 3 Finals MVPs versus 1, you could say okay, even though I think Curry should have 2. Iguodala, I don't think deserved that first one, but you could debate that if you want in the comments. I think it's much, much closer than what I think people are actually going to give it credit for. Because Magic was a phenomenal passer. He's done that crazy.
You think he's still ranked number 1 as point guard?
I think
in NBA history.
I think in NBA history, I think Magic is still number 1, but the gap now
is much smaller.
Is tiny. Before it was Magic's got 5 rings. He has at least 1 Finals MVP. His passing numbers are off the charts. He can rebound like nobody else. And now
he could play any position on the floor.
He could play any position, but his role was point guard. For whatever reason, you had a 6'9" point guard who could pass, rebound, score. It was incredible. He's got that weird, he put the ball this way and sent it that's a great pass right there. You haven't really seen anything like it. But just Curry has done something in the NBA that maybe we want to say 4 people have done in NBA history. You got Kareem's skyhook. No one has really done the skyhook, but he took over the NBA with that. You had Shaq down low. You needed a big man. If you didn't have a strong big man, you were not beating the Lakers with Shaq. You got Curry with the 3. If you didn't have a guy who could shoot threes, it's not going to work. It's like the Lawrence Taylor of football. If you did not have a left tackle or whoever, I guess what did Lawrence Taylor line up on the right side, so you need a left tackle. If you didn't have an outside tackle, you were not going to beat the Giants. Lawrence Taylor was going to get to your quarterback every single time. So Lawrence Taylor literally invented an NFL position. Now Curry has been basically morphing the game around. If you can't score from outside, you're not going to beat Curry. It's going to be incredibly difficult to beat Curry now. And now you have guys who need to haul up. You're talking about 6-7 threes a game.
Yeah,
in order to have a chance.
And the other thing is, teams know he's going to shoot the 3. They can't stop it.
Yes.
They can't stop it. He just flicks his wrist, and it's amazing his shot, how quick it is.
Yeah.
He just a little opening, and he gets that shot off, and a dagger.
Absolutely.
And he hits it regularly. It's really amazing how he takes that shot. It's so fast.
Right. And I think honestly for Curry to solidify himself as the greatest point guard of all time, you would need that 5th ring, because I think then if you look at it now, while let's just say he wins the Finals MVP, it's 3-2 for Finals MVP in favor of Magic. Rings are the same, and then you add what is more beneficial in today's NBA now, and that would obviously be scoring. Curry's the much better scorer than Magic was. So I would think right now it's incredibly close, but based on the way Magic played in his era, now I don't know how it would translate over to this NBA. You would need him to score a lot of points in Magic.
It's a much more physical game when Magic played than it is now.
You can get
It's a much more physical. They didn't call the fouls.
You can get
They
away.
didn't call
Yeah.
the fouls the way they call them today.
Right, yeah.
They were almost playing football out there in
Right.
some of those games, you know?
Yeah. But I just think Magic's success, especially at a young age, and his ability to pass and rebound at the time was crucial because it was a very physical game and the defense was insane. Your ability to get a rebound was incredibly important to that team. Now it's how many points can you score?
Do you think I'm not sure Curry gets his 5th ring this year. I think it's going to be very hard. I mean, the Kings took him to 7 games, right?
Right.
And the Kings are nobody with any experience in the playoffs. Now you're going up against the Lakers, a lot more experience. They got LeBron James on their team, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Davis. And then if they manage to get beyond the Lakers, they got either Jokic or the Suns, and the Suns are loaded.
Right.
I mean, the Suns have been to the finals too, right? So, and they have Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't see. Given the way the Warriors played on the road this year, they stole one yesterday in a way, you know.
No, big time.
And they won 2 on the road, right? They won 2 on the road against the Kings, right? They won another one on the road. I don't think that happens. I don't
Game
think
5 and Game 7 they won.
I don't
Yeah.
think that happens against. It'd be tougher against the Lakers, and certainly in the finals. I don't think that they're going to the way they played on the road. I think it'd be very hard for them to win a game on the road, and they won't have the home field. They won't. I mean, it's home court advantage, right?
In what, the Lakers Warriors series?
And and if they get to the finals, they wouldn't have it because both the Suns and the
Are you talking about the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals?
Yeah, the Western.
Okay.
The
Well,
the NBA Finals they won't have it. Well, I don't know. It depends. We'll see.
I think if the Sixers make it, I think they
The Sixers
have
are not going to make
I'm saying
it.
if they do. But any other team, they would not have it because every other team has a better record.
Well, if the Heat makes it,
if the Heat, right? No, you're right. If the Heat make it somehow,
then they would have it.
Yeah.
So, well, then I guess we'll have to wait and see who's in the finals, right?
Yeah.
If they can get to the finals, but they got it tough to get to the finals because they're not going to have the home court advantage in either of these next 2 series.
right?
So, and these teams are tougher. They've got players who've had a lot of experience in the playoffs. I think it's going to be much harder for the Warriors next 2 series.
It's definitely going to be a good series. I'm going to say that. But Curry is, I think, if we're talking about if Magic is a perfect score 100 as the best, I would give Curry a 98.5. I think
All right.
he's right there. You got to get another Finals. You don't even need another Finals MVP. Just another Finals, and I would say you'd be there because you're scoring now. The way you change the game.
And the way he's playing at 35 years old, he doesn't look like he's 35 out there.
He can still play 3 great years.
Yeah. I think
Like
he's
3
got
really, really good years.
years.
Yeah, so we're going to see and then again, it's how do you manage the Warriors cap situation? Do you want to give up on the core 3? Is Clay going to be there?
I think they need to bring in another player.
Draymond Green may be gone. He wants that max contract. It's going to be interesting to see just how the Warriors maneuver around the next couple of years.
It's going to be real interesting.
I'm going to definitely enjoy watching this. For this Lakers series, you want to give a prediction now?
Next show. Well, they're going to start playing, right?
They start, I believe, tomorrow.
I picked the Kings to win, so I had the Lakers, and I had the Kings beating the
Lakers.
Yeah. I think that the Warriors will beat the Lakers.
You really? You think so?
Yeah.
Damn, I was hoping you go Lakers because I'm picking the Warriors as well.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Warriors in 7.
I think it's 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think I'm going 6. I don't trust AD's health. I think AD could be inconsistent with just his shooting. His health is a big question mark. I'm going Warriors in 6.
I think the Warriors have a more complete team than the Lakers do. Right?
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, beyond AD and LeBron.
You don't know what you're getting after that.
You don't really know what you're getting after that. And AD, he has his injury issue, so I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to pick the Warriors in 6. You got Warriors in 7. I think that's going to be a great series. It's once again, it's a battle of California. It was Golden State versus Sacramento, and now it's Golden State versus Los Angeles. I think it's going to be a great, great series. We're going to see just how good the series will turn out to be. LeBron Curry, 5th playoff series against each other.
Wow.
Curry, I think, is 3-1 right now.
Yeah.
couple finals wins. The only loss
I
he
think
had
if the
was
Warriors make
that
it,
finals.
if the Warriors
2016.
make it to the finals, it will be quite an accomplishment given the way they played this year.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think this just proves the regular season apparently means nothing. Apparently means absolutely nothing.
If they make the finals, I tend to agree with you.
It's gonna be, if they make the finals, they're gonna win it because there's no chance they give up a finals loss after going what they went through the entire regular season to then just not play the same, and now throughout the playoffs to just give it away to the Sixers, the Celtics, the Heat, or the Knicks. I can't see that, because if they get to the finals, they'll be like, okay, this makes sense. The Warriors are insane. They deserve to be here, clearly, if they go through the Lakers and then somehow beat somehow beat the Suns or the Nuggets. So after the Nuggets just absolutely obliterated Phoenix when they were at home. I think it's absolutely crazy, but we will see. But I think that does wrap up this episode of the Harvey Hour. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. Clips will be uploaded
Thank you
throughout
to
the
our
week.
subscribers.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it.
Hit over 300 recently, which is an absolutely incredible achievement. As we continue to grow, we will continue producing amazing content. I guarantee that. Hopefully more NFL news comes up. Not much. The Harvey Hour fired up, my show in between Monday and Friday show between me and my dad. That'll be up Wednesday, 3 p.m. Make sure you tune in to that. We got some news. We got some Aaron Rodgers and Jets talk. He's already making an impact, which is shocking.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was at the playoff
He
game
was at the
yesterday, the
yeah.
Knicks game, and people were going nuts.
So Alan Lazard was also there.
Yeah.
Is the receiver he brought up from the Packers. So it'll be an interesting discussion on Wednesday. Besides, I'll add another couple topics there. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. We will catch you guys Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Introducing video podcasts on Spotify
Transform your storytelling into a show everyone can watch.
or listen to.
Easily upload your video through Anchor, Spotify's free podcast creation tool.
So whether you're showing off a new recipe
Interviewing an exclusive guest,
or uncovering the next mystery,
you can now reach a whole new audience with Spotify.
podcasting just became more than audio.
Create with Anchor, watch on Spotify.